All right, hello everybody, and thank you for joining us once again right here, the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. This is the 11th episode of this 2022-23 season. Of course, we are joined right here by our co-host, Ollie Hammonds, joining us, of course, from Laurel, Mississippi. As always, Ollie, man, thank you for joining us once again.
Hey, man, I'm enjoying it. We're having that introduction right there. You were very, very low energy, Trellis, and that just shows the whole. That's where we are in the season right now. We are in a low energy part. We are strung. We are pulled tight and strung thin, man. This is the dog days of the season, right? That late January push to the tournament. So some meaningful games coming up this week, and I'm really excited to sink our teeth into this past week as well.
Hey, look, man. No, I'm excited, man. We got district.
You got to show it
coming up. Oh man, look, I'm excited. Man, look at this, man. I'm ready to go. Anyway, so we actually got Scott Sherman, head coach of the girls basketball team there at Meridian, the Meridian Flyers. He's going to be joining us today for an interview, so we're really excited about that. We're going to talk about some of these games from this past week. So for some 16U boys action, we had Hattiesburg and Meridian. The game was down in Hattiesburg. The Forerunners getting the win, 51-33, and so in 16U, a good win there for Hattiesburg. They're sitting right there. I believe they are hanging around that like the 4 to 5 spot there in the conference, but getting that win there was pretty good there for Hattiesburg.
Yeah, big time. And we talked about last week matchups. It's kind of funny because the Laurel Nighthawks 16U boys lost to Meridian but beat Hattiesburg. So it's funny just the matchups that you see in the league. But yeah, a win for Hattiesburg there. Hattiesburg's a really good 16U ball club. So I think that was a crucial win for them, get them a little bit of confidence. And if they can come into this tournament with a pretty good seeding, I mean, they don't have to be super high for them to feel good coming into the tournament. So I think that they're feeling pretty good coming into the tournament in the back half of this month, this last month of the season. So good win for them. Meridian just kind of struggling this year, all around the boys program there, kind of struggling. So, but to score 33 points against Hattiesburg is no small feat, right? That's a really good defense, long and lanky, right? A great game all around. But I think if you're Hattiesburg, you're feeling good just getting wins in conference play.
Yeah, and I was just looking at the standings, and actually Hattiesburg sitting there tied right there with Mount Zion. The 4 and the 5 spots are held by Mount Zion and Hattiesburg. Mount Zion has a better point differential, so they are in the 4 spot right now. But really, all that matters is who's wearing dark colors, who's wearing white. That's really all that's about at that point. But another thing too is that we're talking about Meridian, and the thing about Meridian is that they're doing better now than they were at the beginning. Because remember, at the beginning of the season, you're talking about the games are way more lopsided, and I think they've got some players coming back right now, so it's still good to see. Next game, talking about Laurel defeating the Jackson Victors 41-21 down in Laurel. And now Victors, they've kind of been struggling there in 16U. That's like they de-emphasize that one. They don't emphasize that one as much. Laurel able to get that win. Laurel's been doing well. They're sitting there at that number 3 spot there in the 16U field. Talk about that game. I think you were at that game, right?
Yes, I was. It just shows how comfortable Laurel feels in their own gym. Every team feels more comfortable in their own gym. When we went to Jackson, that 16U ball game was really close. It was pretty tight towards the end. But this one, a 20-point win. It was a really good game all around by Laurel. They really just played well, played as a team very well, and moved the ball very well. So a fun game to watch, fun game to be at, but truly just a sign of just how comfortable Laurel feels at their home court, and as also how much improved the 16U ball club at Laurel and our 18U ball club, but our 60U ball club has improved as the season has gone on. And, they're really gelling right now. And you always talk about when you want to peak, right? When do you want to peak? Well, you want to peak at the end of January going into February, because that's when the games matter, right? When
Yeah.
we get to tournament time, I know seeding's there, but really the regular season, the scoreboard is white, right?
Yeah.
Just Laurel's really improving, and I think they're starting to really peak at the right time.
Yeah, and then the last game we're talking about for the 16U from this past week, PCA and Hattiesburg, and that was down in PCA. PCA getting that win 31-21. Really low scoring game, kind of close, a 10-point game. I wasn't able to see that one, so I think it's on YouTube, the PCA Paladins YouTube channel. I think that's where that game is. But 10-point game there. The first time they played, it was not nearly that close. I think it was about a 30-point blowout there for PCA. But the thing is that PCA is not struggling in 16U whatsoever. They're 11-2 on the season, with their only 2 losses being to the Counselors, which were in conference games. Other than that, they're 11-0 for the other part of the season. They just beat the Chef Patriots in Baton Rouge. Chef Patriots, a well-regarded homeschool team there in Baton Rouge, as I said. They beat them in 16U as well, like right on Monday after this game. So what's interesting is that PCA's been doing well, but Hattiesburg played them tough there. Is this more about PCA or more about Hattiesburg, you think?
Well, number one, I want to mention, you mentioned PCA's YouTube channel. I'm a company guy. If it wasn't on TSJW Network, it's not worth watching. Okay.
Oh,
we do not plug other people's YouTube channels here at Trellis. We are TSJW Network all the way.
You really aren't making you some fans over there at PCA.
Hey, listen, I'm sorry, I'm a company guy. If that's that's my crime, that's my crime. Lock me up. Anyways,
look, man. Hey, look, I'm not dogging.
I think that this was two teams that really play kind of very similar. Early on, we really wanted to compare PCA to Muddy River, right? PCA and Muddy River really kind of play the same game, and because last year they did. But coming into this season, and as the season has rolled on, I've started noticing Hattiesburg plays like PCA. PCA really has kind of cut back on the threes. PCA used to rely heavily on the threes last year. Remember, I mean, Colin Erickson. I mean, that's 18U, but at 16U still they relied heavy on the three ball.
Gabe McDonald as well. I know what you're talking about with
Gabe McDonald, yeah. But this year they really stressed the inside game, while also using the outside game. They've balanced out their game. That's why they've been so successful this season, in my opinion. It's because they've balanced it out, and now they're great at everything, right? There used to be, Laurel, we've always been known for big men, right? We're big, we're heavy, we're down low, play. And so we always knew if we could play our style of basketball and get the ball down low, we would have a chance against PCA. Well, that's kind of out now. They've got that as well. And Hattiesburg's the same exact way. So I think that what you saw there was that you saw two teams that are very, very similar, and their defenses are very similar, and so that's why you got such a low scoring game, because they're very, very good defensively. PCA is just having a stellar season, right? Having a fantastic season. So there's no shame in Hattiesburg losing to PCA. As a matter of fact, if a team walks away from that game feeling pretty good, it's Hattiesburg holding PCA to 31 points coming into the tournament. So I think if anybody walks out of there feeling confident, it's Hattiesburg.
No, I can totally agree with you on that. That is pretty impressive there for Hattiesburg to hold it that close against a very good PCA 16U team. So in 18U girls action, had the Hattiesburg Forerunners and the Meridian Flyers. Hattiesburg getting the win at home, 28-24. We're going to talk to Coach Scott of Meridian later. He might be able to detail out that game for us, but Hattiesburg able to get the win. And in the conference standings, it didn't really change much there, as Hattiesburg's at 3-5 in conference. Meridian's at 5-4, so Meridian's pretty solid there at that 3 spot. I don't see much changing here in the conference there for 18U girls, but still for Hattiesburg, definitely a good confidence booster to know that you can do it. You can, get that win, get that valuable win there. So just talk about that game.
Yeah, I mean, this 18U girls, we've talked about it from beginning to end, and it's just so wide open. It's anybody's game, right? I know Laurel's running away with it, but I mean, from 2 down, it's just like it's a tight match, and it's really fun to watch and see who, it's all about matchups, right? You say this a
Yeah,
lot. It's all about matchups, man. And
yeah.
those two teams really match up well. Um, and close score, results of that. That's the
Mhm.
result of them being so good of a match. Hattiesburg, of course, like you said, getting a confidence boosting win over a premier girls program, right?
Mhm.
Meridian's a premier girls program, so Meridian's a premier girls program. Excuse me, but yeah, I mean, just a confidence boosting win for Hattiesburg.
Yeah, for sure. And as we've talked about, Laurel, the only close game they've had in conference this year was against Meridian. And so, they were able to beat PCA by a lot. But the thing about PCA, and we'll talk about this in just a little bit because the next game's PCA defeating Hattiesburg 46-16, is that PCA has been rolling. They're 14-3 on the season. And their only conference loss, of course, is to Laurel. But they had a 1-point overtime win over Meridian as well as a 5-point win over them. And then also, it gets close. It gets close. The first time
Yeah.
Hattiesburg and PCA played, Hattiesburg they lost to them by 5. It's a
Yeah.
5-point game. So I just you don't really know what to think about this. You just have to see what happens when the playoffs roll around, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and the interesting thing to think about too is that Laurel's last regular season game is against PCA.
Yeah,
So, I mean, your
that'll
top
be a
two
big one.
teams going against each other, and
Mhm.
so that's going to be like a really good tone setter coming to the tournament. Sort of like
Yeah.
a trailer for it, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
It'd be a week
sort of like
before the championship Saturday. Yeah.
exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yep. And so then going into some 18U boys action, Hattiesburg Meridian, Hattiesburg winning 59-41. And so Hattiesburg, they were able to win comfortably. But you got to remember the first game of the season these two teams played, which was opening night there for Hattiesburg, it was 78-25. So it was a
Yeah,
53-point game. This time it was an 18-point game. And I think that's because of Meridian and the guys that they have coming back from
marked
injury.
improvement.
And so it's good to see they're definitely a lot more competitive. And so I would say that even though Meridian's solidly in that 7 spot, they're definitely in last place. They're winless in conference. It's not quite what you would expect maybe from a 7.
Yeah, exactly. I think that game's truly showing of how much they've improved because they've improved on the defensive end and the offensive end. So
Mm.
a great game for Meridian, but you know, in 18U boys action, with Hattiesburg being so high up in the seedings, wins make you feel good, not losses. So I think Hattiesburg's feeling good. They're a really good team, and I think that they were our dark horse. Can they be a competitor
Yep.
early on in the season? I think they've established that they are a competitor. Let's
Mm.
see how they can do in the tournament as one of the front runners.
Yeah, and the thing is, and just like we said about Hattiesburg, so Hattiesburg and PCA 18U game, the first time was a 40-point blowout. PCA won. This time 62-41. Hattiesburg took a lead early in the game, and then PCA ended up taking the win. I mean, PCA is a great team. PCA is 21-3. So I mean,
Yep.
it's hard to beat 21-3 teams,
Yep.
But to lose by about 20 on the road is not really that tough. I mean, the counselors, Motor River counselors, lost to them by 20 on the road. So
And it's
Hattiesburg's making
PCA.
strides. Was that?
And it's PCA.
It's PCA. So I mean, listen. I mean, Hattiesburg. It looks like they're making strides on both sides, 18U and 16U.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Listen, they do remind me, and I'm going to bring it up. First state championship of our back-to-back state championships. Remember, we have
Oh yeah, you're
2
showing the ring.
championships. This is the first one. This is what you get when you win a championship.
Well,
Trellis
yeah.
would know about that. Trellis would know about that. He's
Well,
you
yeah.
got 4 of
I
these.
would have liked if they would have given us rings. I gotta say.
Well,
I mean, I was
but,
never a Laurel Nighthawk, man. I'm gonna have to
hey,
say.
we rolling in the dough up here, man.
Yeah.
But,
Wow. Yeah.
but Hattiesburg's really feeling like we did when we came in the tournament. We were the number 3 seed, but it was like we lost some games we should have won. And we felt like we should have made some games more competitive. Hattiesburg's coming into the tournament feeling that same way, and actually they're peaking. Right, Hattiesburg's
It looks like
done
it.
a really good job of peaking at the right time, and so that's all due to their coach, man. Their coach is a fantastic coach, and so they're the people that's the team that I would watch coming into tournament time.
Absolutely. Yeah, Coach Paul Russell done a very good job. I mean, look, yeah, Michael Barnes, he's had a great season. Definitely emerged very well, stepped up to the challenge here, playing 18U, and really leading, taking the bull by the horns.
Yeah, he'll be on the All-Star team.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Laurel Nighthawks defeating the Jackson Victors 55-36. This was interesting because the first time Jackson won in Jackson. This time, going down to Laurel, the Nighthawks get the win. And I mean, you guys, I will say, like, you guys are playing probably your best basketball of the season, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Because earlier in the season, it was a little bit tougher than now.
Absolutely. We got Caleb Blankenship back. And I mean, I don't care how long you've played with a certain group of guys. When you leave and then come back, you're going to have to still have that like adjustment period.
Yeah.
You know, rotations are going to have to be solved and all that kind of stuff. Rotation questions are going to have to be solved. And, you know, Caleb's really starting to get back into the fold, you know, and man, we're playing our best basketball right now and peaking at the right time. Right. And so we were really pumped to get a win against Jackson. That's our rivals, man. That's the, if you had to pick you had to circle you had the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees. You have the Celtics and the Lakers, and then you have Laurel and Jackson, man. I mean, that's
right there.
It's like that is a rivalry. So it feels good to get a win there. And you know, Jackson played well. Jackson played really, really well. And so it was not easy. It was not easy at all. So fun game though. Fun game to be at. I love playing against Jackson, man. They bring a lot of energy, a lot of passion in the game, and they're a great group of guys. You know, fun to play on the court. When you play with great guys, it's always fun. You know, joke around and at the end of the game, you remember that you're all on the same team, right? We're all Christians, and so you know, really, really fun game to be a part of, but a lot of fun to win.
Oh yeah. So and then last game that we're going to talk about. We usually don't talk about non-conference games as much, but this was a big one. This was a big one going into it. It was the PCA Paladins and the Chef Patriots, which the Chef Patriots going into the game were 22-2, and whereas the PCA Paladins were 20-3. So that was a big one, and it was in Baton Rouge on Chef's home court. PCA getting the win, 67-55. And so when you think about it, look. The top team in the MSAHA, they are holding their own in everywhere. Matter of fact, they're winning everywhere. So 21-3 now after that 67-55 win over Chef. And I mean that just shows how solid this PCA team is.
Yeah, PCA has always done a great job with representing our conference outside of our conference.
Yeah,
and you know, once again doing it here, they are just winning, man. They are winning and winning and winning and winning. They have enacted their wrath on the state of Mississippi and Louisiana, man. They are just they are going on a rampage, and it's really, really fun to see them go out and be successful against teams that are not in the MSAHA.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so now we have come to the point where we're going to bring on Coach Scott Sherman of the Meridian Flyers girls squad. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Trellis. Thank you, Ollie, for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. My first question I have for you is so this year we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. You guys have had a lot of close games. You know, come up short on some of them, come up with wins on some of them as well. Usually those things give you some good experience and helps your players mature as basketball players over the course of the season. How do you think that's done your team over the course of the season to have that many close games?
So most of our close games have been since after Thanksgiving, kind of the middle third of our season. And our focus during that middle third is to not lose the game in the third quarter. And so we've kind of changed what we do in the locker room, how we come out of the locker room, but also just the mentality. And so I think it's a mental maturing for the girls in the approach. But it's PCA came back. We led most of that game against PCA. They came back, tied it up in the last minute and a half. And there are lessons to learn there. You know, the girls were doing the same thing they've been doing all game and expecting foul calls. And there's a maturing process where the girls have to realize, unless you just get trucked, You're not going to get that foul call in the last minute and a half. And you've got to be mentally tough. And so some good learning experiences for the girls in those close games.
Yeah, Ollie, got you a question?
Yeah, Coach, thanks for coming on. So watching your girls play this season, you can really see the change from last season to this season. And I was wondering, they're sharing the ball a lot more players are getting involved into your play. And we talked about it on the show. That's why I think you guys are being more successful at the end of your season than you are at the beginning, because players are starting to grow into those roles. So how did you prepare your girls differently this season than you did last season?
Sure. So last season, a lot of teams were double teaming Emily, number one, and it was impacting our offense. We played a 5-man out style offense, which accomplished coaching goals in that nobody had a set position. And we're a young program, or younger program. I guess we're not so young anymore, but a lot of young girls, and really don't want them to get pigeonholed in one spot. They need to learn to dribble. They need to learn to shoot. And a 5-man out offense is a great way to do that. Going into this season, I was really struggling at the beginning of the season with how to coach the younger girls that need that level of training, but also the varsity players that are ready for some more complex movements. And another coach in our conference kind of shared some ideas with me. And so 2 weeks before the start of the season, we switched from 5-man out to the offense we're now running, which has some pretty basic rotations, but allows me to have a perimeter set of players and then a post set of players, each with their own set of rotations. But what it accomplishes is we get a lot more interior passing, and it makes it really hard to double team any one person because they're constantly moving around the floor. And the ball sharing, look, in the PCA game, I had 5 different players sink 3-pointers. That's never happened before. And we've really focused on the technical aspects of how do you get an interior pass when you're heavily guarded, stepping past the player, not just trying to throw past the player. We don't do it all the time, but the girls are growing and maturing, and the better they get at those technical aspects of passing, the better we get at ball movement. And if we can keep you moving, we're going to get an open shot in 4 or 5 passes.
Hey, can I just say something? Did Trellis, did you note the fact that he kept the other coach in the conference's name, like he wouldn't say it? It's like, do y'all have like a back alley deal? What's going on?
We do have a back alley deal. That's all I'm going to say about it.
You got connections, Coach Scott.
That's the competitive edge, man. He can't be giving that away. That's right. No, so my question was going to be about, so we're about to go into Monroe, going to district tournament here on Friday and Saturday coming up here. And you guys, y'all's first game will be against the Tyler Heat. I'm assuming that's probably the first time you've ever faced them. They're new to the district. So that'd be interesting. That's kind of cool. That's the really cool thing about that tournament, is being able to play teams that you have never played before. Just talk about what you're expecting from that. What's the goal of that, and what you want to get out of it?
Okay, great. No, so where we're struggling, I think why we're losing these close games is I've got basically a 7-lady bench, right? And in these tight games where you put a lot of pressure, we're wearing out. And so I'm going to Monroe, and my primary focus for these games, they're non-conference, so they don't affect the playoff standings at all. And I want to get quality minutes, but the 18U girls, we're going to play 4 games in those 2 days. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to work on stamina and duration. It's also an opportunity, though, for me to intentionally work subs in. And so we brought a couple of extra 16U girls up that we're going to rotate in as subs. I'm going to work a couple different philosophies on substitution and see which one our team handles best from a mental game standpoint, and hopefully get us in a position to make some surprising challenges at PCA and Laurel, and love to get in the championship game come tournament time in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be something else. I mean, you guys have the full capability of doing it, as you well know. It depends on how perform on that weekend, But right. Ollie, you got another question?
Yeah, Coach. I mean, you want to be in the championship game. You want to win the championship. So, what's one thing that if you guys don't, win the championship, you can look back on the season and say this was a successful season that either we can build on or that you are proud of?
I've told the girls I think this is all around probably the best 18U girls team that we've had. We've had some great players and we've had some great seasons. 2 years ago, we beat Laurel for the first time in program history. Last year, we beat PCA for the first time in program history. This year, we hadn't beat either one of those teams yet, but from a poise standpoint, from a mental poise standpoint, from a teamwork and communication standpoint, this team is unbeatable. And from a defense standpoint, every game we've played this season, you can look at anybody in the conference, anybody out of the conference, and compare their normal scoring range to what they score against us, and we're going to knock 15 to 20% off of their average. That's part of our tactic. But I would say this season, win or lose, come championship time, these girls have never gone into the locker room at the end of the game not having giving everything they've got, and that makes it a win. I can encourage them, and they can be happy and proud of what they've accomplished because of that.
Absolutely. I got one more question. So I haven't looked at the math of everything, but I'm pretty sure that you guys are going to be in the number 3 spot there come playoff time for the MSAHA, and so you'll play the 6th seed, which will be the Muddy River Counselors. That's for certain.
That's right.
So now the last game you guys played, it was a surprisingly close one there. What is your idea going into that one? Hey, look, I would like you to just tell us exactly what you're going to do.
I was just about to say.
Well, I can guarantee you we won't be working on a 3-2 defense. So we were talking before the show, and when we played you, I went into that game with a certain mentality, and look, as a coach, I learn lessons too, and that's part of what makes this successful. And that is that I have to learn where my girls can take challenge, where they can take mental stress, and I've got to keep myself calm enough that I don't stress them out and cause them to make mental mistakes because I'm too intense.
Yeah.
So what's my approach going into that game? I need to approach that game and have my girls settled and mentally focused on what they're doing in the game. And we're capable of beating ourselves. We're capable of approaching the game as an expected win, and we need to approach the game as a battle. And just be ready for Lolita and the things that she's going to throw at us. And you guys have really improved over the season. You shoot from the outside much better. You move the ball better. You've got more ball handlers than you did at the beginning of the season. You're not the same team. We played in, week 3?
That's all coaching. That's all coaching.
And so we need to come in expecting a battle and ready to play.
Yep, for sure. And so we'll be looking forward to that, but we're looking forward to this tournament in Monroe. Definitely everybody in the league definitely pulling for the MSAHA teams to go in there and do some good damage there up in Monroe. But Coach, thank you for joining us for sure.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And so that will bring us to our second half of the show. And mostly we'll be talking about the Monroe tournament. But we will also first we'll talk about some of the games that are going to happen after the Monroe tournament here. And so 16U action, there's one game that'll be on January 24th. That'll be a Tuesday. The Hattiesburg Forerunners heading over to Ridgeland to take on the Jackson Victors. That'll be interesting there. First time the teams played, Hattiesburg won by 17 there down at Hattiesburg. As the season's been progressing and when it comes to trends, I would say Hattiesburg is definitely the favorite in this game. Hattiesburg's 10-4 on the season. They've been winning lately. Now they did lose their last game to PCA, but even in that game, they played a good game, good solid game. Gave PCA a good solid opposition there. So I would say Hattiesburg's the favorite, but Jackson they do have some abilities to they have the ability to beat them.
Yeah, they definitely do, but you're right. Hattiesburg's got to be the favorite here. Jackson, the 16U team's just not having a great year, right? Just not having a great year. But they're going to show it what?
Oh, I was talking about like it's 18U, so but yeah, it's 16U, but like either one. Yeah, go ahead.
You throwing me off now.
Yeah. No, I said
grief.
16U, but then I talked about it like it was 18U. So my bad.
Trellis, you're about as reliable as the tape that had my background here. It just
Oh
completely
man!
collapsed.
So what? I'm just letting it all drop.
anyways, but listen, Jackson having a rough year. Hattiesburg definitely can get a win here coming into the tournament time. And we talked about their 6U team this past week peaking. Right, they're playing really good basketball in 6U and 18U. I mean, 6U and 18U, they're playing some great basketball. So I would expect a Hattiesburg win here, but it could be a great feel-good game for Jackson as well.
Okay, well, so I kind of previewed what I thought about the 18U game. Go ahead and say what you're saying about the 18U.
Now, 18U game is going to be a lot more close. I think that's going to be one that you would keep your eye on. Great for seeding for Jackson. Jackson has everything to win here. Right, so I don't know exactly the math for it, but it does mean a lot for Jackson.
They are one game ahead of Laurel right now.
Yeah,
but
go Hattiesburg.
Was that
go Hattiesburg? But I'm sorry.
They're 2 games behind Hattiesburg though, so I don't think they can't catch Hattiesburg.
No, but they can solidify.
I will say this is that it's a battle for the 4 and 5 seeds. So it just depends on which one of y'all's wearing white. So it's kind of it is one of those things.
Yeah, that's true. But I would expect the Hattiesburg win just because of the standings. You know, Hattiesburg's higher up there. And if you just watch Hattiesburg play, they're so well rounded. They're such a great basketball team. You know, and boy, they're going to be a tough team in the tournament. They're going to be a tough team in the tournament because you're going to be in Hattiesburg, right? That's
Absolutely.
going to be a really, really tough team to face. So, you know, I would expect a Hattiesburg win here. But then again, we just talked about Hattiesburg being at home. They're in Jackson's house. So, I mean, let's what can they do on the road against a tough competitor?
Yeah. And we were just talking to Coach Scott just a second ago, and he's sitting there at that 3 spot. And you're talking about Hattiesburg sitting in the 3 spot. The thought is you want to sneak into championship Saturday. You really want to sneak into championship Saturday. You want to steal it from one of those top 2 seeds. Because obviously you got the top 2 seeds that you expect to get in there. 18, you expect it to be PCA and Muddy River, but I mean Hattiesburg, they would love to go steal that one from Muddy River. They would love to steal it from PCA as well, but obviously when you're the 3 seed, you're eyeing that 2 seed because you're probably going to play them in the tournament earlier on. So very interesting. We're definitely in for an interesting tournament coming up. And then we also have Laurel and Scott County. That's going to be in Forest. The first time those 2 teams played, Laurel won by 16 points. That was early in the season. I was actually there for that one. It was a primetime game. But Laurel was able to get the win there at Salem Heights. This one is at Forest, so it's a little bit of a different story. In Scott County, they've got players who can play. They can score the basketball. They can certainly score the basketball. And Scott County's on a 3-game winning streak. So go ahead and preview that game. It's a game that you're going to be in.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game because, like you said, Scott County's on a 3-game win streak. We got a little bit of a win streak here. We beat Central Baptist Raiders last night. Tough game in a private school. So, you know, it's 2 teams that you're right, kind of feeling pretty good. We have a lot to gain from the standings. You know, a win there really does solidify us in one of the 4 or 5 seeds, right? Scott County, though, has something to gain because Hattiesburg is not an easy draw, right? You do not want to draw Hattiesburg for the first round in the tournament. So they've got a lot to gain. We're going to be in their house. And so, as you know, that's a long drive for any team. So it's just, for us, the key to the game is to come out hot. We do not need to come out flat. And for Scott County, it's to make us come out flat, right? So it's really going to be who sets the tone of the game first.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you brought that up because now I'm looking at the standings now. Right now, Laurel sitting at that 5 spot with a 3-6 conference record. Scott County sitting there at a 2-6 conference record. So if Scott County was able to steal that win, especially with you guys having PCA up, you have to play PCA again in the season as well. That kind of would put Scott County in the driver's seat to grab that 5 seed, and the 5 and 6 are different. They are way different. You're either playing Jackson or Hattiesburg, and those are 2 different games. It's not like the 4 and 5 seed where it just matters what color you're wearing. It's actually 5 and 6 actually makes a difference there. All right, so now we're going to talk about the Gulf South District tournament that's coming up this weekend on Friday and Saturday in Monroe, Louisiana, and we got some of these first games here for 18U boys that we'll talk about, and then we'll just after we talk about those 18U boys matchups, it's for the first round. 18U girls is like a round robin, so we'll just talk about those in more generalities. But we'll talk about these first matchups for 18U boys. So it's a 15-team field. So the first game, the Meridian Flyers got seeded at number 15. So they were actually the last seed. Meridian Flyers, they're taking on the Little Rock Flames. And we've seen from them, Little Rock, very tough team. They they blew out a good few of the MSAHA squads, even got a big win over the Counselors by a good margin as well. Little Rock's a very, very good team. Tall, move the ball quickly, and shoot well. So there's that game. I don't know. So we'll just go one by one after I list them out. But then we got a PCA, got a number 4 seed, a very good seed there for PCA.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, rightfully so. Actually, number 4 almost seems a little low.
I was about to say.
We'll have to see how everything shakes out. They're playing the Acadian Christian Defenders. That is the homeschool team they're playing. That's
what a name.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That is the Christian Defenders. That'll strike fear into the hearts of your opponents.
No, yeah, man, I know. I wouldn't mess around. So that's a 4 versus 13 matchup. We'll see what they're about. They're a Louisiana homeschool team. The Laurel Nighthawks got a 14 seed. They're playing the 3-seeded Tyler Heat. Tyler Heat, new to the district. They are from Texas, Tyler, Texas, and they are a very good team. Very good team. They're 17-9 on the season with good quality wins on their schedule as well. So that'll be interesting. That'll be Laurel and the Tyler Heat. The Muddy River Counselors got a 6 seed, which is a pretty good seeding for the Counselors, considering the fact that last season at district they had some solid games but lost a good few of their games and stuff. So they've made a big jump this year, being able to get a good seed there at number 6. They're taking on the Saline County Warriors. The Saline County Warriors are the 11 seed in the district tournament. So, and the Counselors never beaten Saline County before. They played them twice last year, lost them both within single digits. So the Counselors will be looking to try to get that win over Saline County. Then the Jackson Victors got a 10 seed. They're taking on the number 7 seeded Chef Patriots. And we were talking about Chef Patriots. They're 22-3. So it's interesting how low their seeding is at number 7. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Jackson Victors there. Chef Patriots, a very good team. So we'll see how that goes there. And then finally, the Hattiesburg Forerunners getting a number 8 seed, which is a very good seed for Hattiesburg to get there, taking on the number 9 seed Shreveport Force. The Shreveport Force actually won the district tournament last season. So they're actually the defending champions of the Gulf South District Tournament. And I know I just said a mouthful there, but what's a matchup that jumps out? Like, what jumps out to you most out of all this, Ollie?
Well, number 1, the MSAHA, we got to step up our game on the names. I mean, the Christian Defenders, the Warriors, the Force. I mean, like, that is just like, we need to step it up on the names, man.
Right. They sound like some war. Okay, I gotta say, I think it's the Acadian Christian. Then,
well, I mean, I'm still gonna call them the Christian Defenders. I'm still gonna call them the Christian Defenders.
Probably better.
Space Christian Defenders. Yes. The thing that I'm gonna look at most is PCA. I mean, this is the one time where, as MSAHA people, yes, you want your team to do well, but you can also cheer on other MSAHA teams. And so this is the one time where I can separate from being a Laurel Nighthawk and kind of go into being a PCA Paladins fan. I know. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy to hear that.
Paladin?
But I have this. So, I can join the
necessary.
I have this, I'll go over to their side for just a second. But really, I really could legitimize them winning this whole thing. We've talked about it all year long. They are on another level, and it's their chance to really show people that they are really, really good. So that's the one team, and not specific. I don't have a specific matchup because I mean I really haven't had the chance to go to these out of state tournaments, so I haven't really got to see the
Yeah.
Little Rock Flames or people like that. So not really a matchup, but a team that I would really watch for is PCA.
Yeah, be interesting there. Little Rock Flames, very good team. They're going to be one of the front runners there. Number one is, I think it's the Champ Hawks, I believe, is their mascot. That's the number 1 seed, but of course they get a bye because there's no 16 seed team. So that's interesting. Tyler Heat, interested to see what they look like. Laurel's going to get to see what they look like there. Then Jackson and Chef, that'd be interesting. Hattiesburg, Shreveport would be very interesting. I'm very interested in that. It's probably gonna be a great game. Hattiesburg and Shreveport there.
Yeah, that would be a good. That's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, I would imagine so there. So that should be interesting. And that's the district tournament. 18U girls, of course. It's a situation just like you're saying about PCA. The conference feels very similar about the Laurel Lady Hawks. You want to see how far they do and how well they do here in this district tournament. And last year they did very well. I think they finished second in the tournament last year, which is pretty good in district, and won the 16U girls last year. They did. Mm-hmm. And so definitely they've performed very well in these out of state tournaments as well. So we'll see what the top seeds do. 16U boys, they got a field as well. Of course, the top seed in the 16U boys not competing. The Muddy River Counselors are not competing in 16U for the district, just considering the fact that just way too much of an overlap there. They definitely focused and buckled down on the 18U here, but very interesting. We should be able to stream some. I mean, Counselors TV will be going at least, but we'll definitely be keeping the scores updated there on the TSJW network, and so definitely stay tuned to what's going on. But Ollie, man, again, I think we had another good show, man. Appreciate you coming on once again.
Well, that's what happens when you invite me on stuff. It goes great,
man. Yeah. I'm telling
you. Trellis. So before we go, let's go out of basketball. Let's go to football. Okay. NFL playoffs. Who you got for the Super Bowl?
Who do I have for the Super Bowl? Man, look. I'm Mississippi State guy, so I like Dak Prescott. I would love to see the Cowboys be in there. Now on the AFC side, okay. So what we got? We got Bengals, Bills, and. Who else is going on in the AFC? I'm trying to remember. Jaguars are still in there, and then
Jags and the Chiefs.
Chiefs, man. I'm a Raiders fan. I'm a Raiders fan. I can't be messing around with the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are probably going to be in the Super Bowl, man. But I can't be messing around with the Chiefs. So hey, look, man. Look, I'm Bills, man. I hope it's Bills and Cowboys.
The Bills.
I want to see Bills and Cowboys.
Okay, we'll see that my pick was gonna be the Bengals and the Eagles. I got Bengals Eagle. I got the Bengals and the Eagles. And
Bengals and Eagles.
Yeah, I mean it's. Did you watch any of the wild card games? I mean, I really just kind of.
I watched a couple of them.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah,
that was good football.
Oh yeah, no, man, it's interesting, man. Look, the playoffs. Once you get into that win and go home situation, it gets interesting, man.
It's fun.
Oh, absolutely, man. But thank you for joining us once again. That'll close out our show. Appreciate it, Ollie.
Hey, I enjoyed it.
Absolutely, and thank you all for joining us. Be sure to keep following the TSJW Network on Instagram. Follow it if you haven't already. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button too for the TSJW Network YouTube. You can go ahead and hit it right now. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn your notifications on to keep track of everything that's going on. We try to do this show Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. So we're going to try to do that next week as well. And next week we'll be talking about the results from this Gulf South District tournament. Looking forward to that in Monroe, Louisiana. We plan on going out there for that tournament, and we'll see what happens there. But thank you for joining us. I am Trellis Williams. This is the MSAHA Basketball Weekly Show. We out.